Hey, good morning, kiddos. It's a rainy Thursday here. I don't know when you're going to be viewing this, but I wanted to do a quick review of some stuff that we've been doing. I noticed some of you have not been looking at the PowerPoints and going over that, and it's so important to be able to learn how to read music and how to do the worksheets that I give you and to understand note value and to understand the different roadmap signs that we see in music, because when we're reading music, we're actually reading roadmaps of music, okay? So let's look at this quick example that I put on the board. First of all, we have just a single line right here. This is a bar line, B-A-R, a bar line, a vertical bar line. Bar line here, here's two bar lines, we'll get into that in a minute. Two more. Here's another single bar line, and here's two bar lines. Now, what we use bar lines for is to divide music into measures equally. Now, when we say divide the music equally, we have to look at our time sign. Here's our time sign that looks like a fraction. The top number, this top four, tells me I've got 4 beats or counts in a measure. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's all it's saying. It's not telling me how many notes are in a measure. It's telling me how many counts or how many beats are in a measure. Counts and beats are the exact same thing. So don't get mixed up if I should say counts one time and beats another time. They are the exact same thing, okay? All right, so we're gonna have 4 counts per measure, all right? Then our bottom number here tells us our note value. Value is what something is worth, correct? Absolutely. So we take our notes, and when we look at that 4 right there, whatever number is on the bottom of the time sign, that's what our whole note is going to be worth. Whatever number is on the bottom of the time sign is what the whole note is worth. Now, I say that because if we know what the whole note is worth, then we can figure out the others. When we look at our note values and we look at how to divide up our notes, let's look over here just a minute. I've drawn I guess you might say a circle. I'm going to refer to it as a pizza. We have a whole pizza here. The entire whole pizza is going to represent our whole note, which is simply a circle. That's all it is. It is the granddaddy of them all. He gets 4 counts when the 4 is on bottom. So he's going to be worth the most that you can have, okay? Now then, let's look at the next note under that. What is, if we were thinking in fractions, what is half of 1? A half, absolutely. So we're going to take that whole note, we're going to draw a circle, we're going to put the stem on it. That's all we did. Took the whole note, added a stem to it, and it became a half note. Now, if the whole note gets 4 counts, how many counts is a half note going to get? Cut it in half. What is 4 divided by 2? 2. So it gets 2 counts. Here's where we're seeing that we have math and music, okay? So now then, we go to the next one. We're going to take that half note, which was the circle with a stem, and we're going to take it like so, and we're going to put the stem on it, and we're going to color it in. And now he becomes what? Exactly, the quarter note. We cut it in half again. So we see here, here's our pizza that represents our whole note. We cut it in half. We have two halves. That's half notes. Now we're going to cut each half into 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. We're going to cut that. And so when we cut that in half, what is half of 2? 1. So he gets 1 count. Now we're going to go one step further, and that's going to the 8th note. We're going to take the quarter note, which is the circle colored in with a stem, and we're going to add the flag. When we do that, we've made the 8th note. Now, the 8th note, he's not even worth an entire beat or count. He's not even worth 1 count. What's half of 1? Good job. Half. So he only gets 1/2 of a count. So how many of those guys do we put together to equal 1 count or 1 beat? Awesome. 2. You are correct. So here we have our whole note, our half note, our quarter note, our 8th note, this is something you just need to memorize. Memorize. Learn it. Put it together with math. Okay, maybe you're not good at math. Guess who else wasn't good at math? Yours truly. But repetition is in music. You're going to see this over and over and over again in every piece of music that you see. You're going to see these notes. You're going to see the rest that go with the notes. You're going to see a time sign. You're going to see bar lines. You're going to see measures. Okay? So let's go forth and see what else that we see. Here we have a flat sign. We know that a flat sign looks like a little baby bee. I call it a squished up bee. But he's our flat sign. And he tells us that we're going to lower that note a half step if we come up across him. Okay? Now, what line is that in the treble clef? Oh, let's go back. Let's review right quick. What clef is this? Absolutely. The treble clef. T-R-E-B-L-E. The treble clef. And this one is what? Good job. Bass clef. All right? Now we've joined them together with this bracket. And now they have become the grand staff. Okay? Grand staff. Let's just put it right here. Grand staff. That's when we put together the treble clef and the bass clef. All right. Here we are. We're cooking with grease now. So we've got the treble clef, we've got the bass clef. And I asked the question, what line is this flat sign on? Let's count it. Remember that we count from bottom to top. Bottom to top, okay? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So which line is it on? Oh, yes, the 3rd line. What is the 3rd line in the treble clef? Who can tell me the letter name? Think of our saying. Correct, it's a B. Every good boy does fine. So it's a B, all right? So that's telling me every B in the entire piece of music, I don't care where it is located, no matter where it's located, it's going to be flatted. It's going to be lowered a half step. There's not going to be a little flat sign beside every B in the piece. It's just a known fact that when that B is showing right here in the key sign, every B in the treble and the bass is going to be played as a B flat or sung as a B flat, not just a plain Jane B. So if you look at your keyboard, which we have right here, if we look at our keyboard, let me move it to you so you can see. Here is our B, right? He's a white key. Now, if I lower him, I'm going to lower left. Nearest next note, a half step. B flat. Okay, so now every time I come across a B on the keyboard, when I'm seeing it written on the music tab, I know it's going to sound that B flat. Not a white key B, but a regular B. Good deal. All right, let's go further. Now then, we have some other road map signs that we have here. Oh, I see this. What kind of rest is that? Sweet. Yes, a half rest because he sits on top of the line. So the half rest looks like a right side up half. Now what do we do in a rest? We rest. We do nothing. We don't play, we don't sing, but we do count. So we've got 2 counts of silence. So in our first measure, we've got 2 counts of sound, 2 counts of rest. Then we're going along here, and let's see. Oh, what we got here? The mark of 0. No, it's a quarter rest, okay? So in the quarter rest, it kind of looks like a fancy 3 or a fancy Z, whatever, all right? But he's a quarter rest. So if the quarter note gets 1 count of sound, then the quarter rest is going to get 1 count of silence. Yay! You are doing awesome this morning. All right, here is our 8th rest. He kind of looks like the 8th note because he's got a flag on him. Here's our whole rest. Ooh, look at him. Whoops, almost drew him wrong. All right, our whole rest is an upside down hat. And he's going to get 4 counts of silence, just like the whole note gets 4 counts of sound. Okay, so we've talked about the treble clef, we've talked about the bass clef, we've talked about the single bar lines, we've talked about the bracket. But now we're going to come across 2 bar lines. When we have just 2 bar lines, what does that tell you? Yes, the end of the piece. Here is your double bar line. Your double bar line means the end. Okay? The end. Fine. It's over. History. Boom. Song's done. Okay? Guess what? We have some of those within a song because of medleys. The difference in a melody and a medley, a melody is the tune of a song. When you sing your favorite song, you're singing the melody of it. When we put several songs together, like the Salute to the Armed Forces, that's putting several songs together to make one song. So we have the medley, that's more than one melody, put together to make one song. And then we have the melody, which is the tune of the song. All right. Now let's look at the other double bar lines. We have the double bar lines here, but they have 2 dots here, 2 dots here. Can anybody remember what that means? Oh, yes! Hallelujah. Yes, it means to repeat. So we're going to repeat that one measure. Now we could be repeating the entire line if those double dots were here and at the beginning. But he just wants us to repeat that one measure. Remember what the measure is. The distance between bar lines. Here's a measure, here's a measure, here's a measure, and here's a measure. Now keep in mind, when we talk about measure, we talk about determining the length of something, or the width of something, or the height of something. That's not what we're dealing with in music. In music, we're dealing with how many counts or beats that are needed in each measure, and that's what makes it complete. We're not dealing with, okay, this one's got to be 3 inches, so this one's got to be 3 inches. Nah, not. Okay? So don't get that mixed up when we say measure, okay? Good deal. Now, let's see here. So we've gotten all of that, but now, how many measures do we have? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nope. Can you tell me what we got? Yes! 5! Here we go. 1, 2, repeat, 3, 4, 5. Yes, because we have to repeat before we can go on. Because that's what he told us to do. Remember I said, music symbols tell us what to do in music. It's kind of like those computer things, you know. If you put Control P, it's going to print. Control C, it's going to copy. Control whatever. Okay, I'm having to learn all that stuff because, you know, I wasn't raised on computers. Just FYI. Okay. I was raised on a manual typewriter. Okay. All right, so we got that. Now then, we have these precious notes. Identify for me. What kind of note is this? Half note. Great. How many counts does it get? 2. Awesome. What do we got here? Half rest. How many counts does it get? 2. Woohoo, we are cooking with grease this morning. All right, what do we got here? Quarter note. Quarter note, good. Quarter note, awesome. Quarter note, good. How many beats does a quarter note get? 1 count each. 1, 2, 3, 4. There you go. Oh, what do we got here? I see a quarter note. I see a quarter rest. I know those get 1 count apiece. All right. Now see these 2 guys here and these 2 guys here, but they're connected with this line, this beam up here. Not really sure what that is. Can anybody help me out? You're right. It's just like this 8th note here. They're side by side. They're BFFs. So they're joined together, okay, with that beam. It's just as if I wrote 2 of those, 2 of these with a flag, but that beam represents the flag on each one of them. So that's 2 8th notes that are just joined together by a beam. Now you say, well, why did they write it that way? Why didn't they write it like we always see, the 8th note? Because that's just confusing, Miss B. What? Well, there's several reasons. They say that it's saved on ink. They said it was quicker. They said it made it less squished up in a measure by just doing beams as opposed to doing those little flags every time that you had an eighth note. So there's probably 1,001 reasons why they put a beam instead of little flags on each one of the eighth notes. Didn't change the value of it one iota. Still gets the same value, 1/2 of a count. Okay, so we got everybody. We've got half notes, we've got half rest, we've got quarter notes, we've got eighth notes, we've got quarter rest. So now we're ready to deal with counting this. Now you know there's a method behind my madness when I deal with rhythms. And you know we do the pie game that goes through rhythms. And it's called the pie game because it talks about what? Yes, pies. I love pies, okay? And we take different kinds of pies for different kinds of rhythms. All right, so let's review. We have quarter note, and when we say a quarter note, what word do we use? Pie. Awesome. So every quarter note, we're going to say, yes, pie. What about the quarter rest? Because we have to savor what we just ate. So those quarter rests are going to be, Same thing with a half rest, except we've got to go, because it gets 2 counts. All right, what about a half note? Pie, because he gets 2 counts, and we don't break him up. We lengthen him out. So we have to put our southern drawl in there like we sometimes do and say pie to get 2 counts in it, okay? Ooh, what about that 8th note? What kind of pie do we talk about there? Well, let's think. What kind of pie did we have that had 2 syllables? Oh my goodness, is that English coming in? We've had math, now we've got English. OMG, I declare, music has crossed the curriculum. Yes, it is. All right, so how many syllables? How many 2 syllables? Because it's got to equal 1 count, so they've got to be quick. So I think it might be what? Apple! Exactly. Apple pie. Apple pie. Apple pie. Okay? Now then, here we go. We're going to do our rhythm, and you're going to see, because we put down on there those words underneath this little example of pie, 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 apple pie, apple, apple pie, pie. Since we put those under there, we're not gonna mess up the rhythm. Okay, here we go. Let's try it. Ready? 1, 2, ready, and pie, 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 apple pie, apple, apple pie, pie. Now, what did I do different then that I didn't do when we just kind of went through what we put underneath there? Exactly. We repeated that repeat measure. So let's do it one more time to make sure we remember that. Here we go. And pie, 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 apple pie, apple, apple pie, pie. Yes! Okay, I hope this helped you out some. It's a good review. It's a good review. And I hope that you will watch it and let me know that you watched it. If you have any questions, you know what to do. Just email me. And if you're in person, Ask me. Have a great day.